What's going on, guys? Welcome back to What's in Your Curry podcast. This is episode 3. How are you guys doing? Well, to be honest, I did not want to come on and record today because I really didn't have anything to talk about. Until earlier today, I had a conversation with a very good friend of mine and was talking about all of the setbacks and all of the disappointments she's experiencing right now. And that just gave me this idea that maybe I should get on this, record myself, and talk about this topic called transition. But before that, I wanted to read this essay, this short essay that I had written right after my conversation with my friend. So I want to read that. And then after that, we'll just dive into the topic of transition for today. So here it is. Transition isn't sexy. It's one chaotic, bumpy roller coaster ride that will sometimes make you feel exhilarated, and sometimes you're on the verge of your next severe panic attack. It feels this way because you're in the process of shedding your old identity for a new one. Shedding something you've carried for a while is painful. It happens one layer at a time. As you shed, you'll mourn the death of your old habits, behaviors, and mindsets. This can last weeks, months, or even years. It's relative to the individual and how deep the layers are. Comparing your mourning to the timeline of others would suck the life out of you and create a new spiral of negative thoughts, which can and will add to your mourning, afflicting more pain than is required. Hence, do not compare your pain to others. To make this transition phase a tad easier, I've found this to be truly vital. Alignment. Alignment of your thoughts, words, and actions with the bigger vision, a higher purpose, and the new identity. Alignment shifts perspective. The pain is seen as a prerequisite to change. With that new shift in perspective, you become more intentional and mindful. You are more self-aware, more cognizant of your responses, and the creation process. Slowly and gradually, you change. And when you change, your external reality changes too. Be patient when becoming someone you've never been. So let's dive into this. As I wrote on the essay, transition isn't sexy. I've been going through my own transition phase for the past 3 years. So a little context, I am from Bangladesh. I was born in Bangladesh, but I never lived in Bangladesh. I grew up in the Middle East in Oman for the first 18 years of my life. And right after high school, I had moved to the US for college, and I lived in the US all the way until the end of 2022. Then life happened. Circumstances changed and I had to move. I moved to Bangladesh because my parents had recently moved to Bangladesh as well. It was the biggest culture shock for me because I'd never lived here. I hadn't experienced how life is over here. I had only traveled to Bangladesh 3 times prior to me moving to the US. And when I was there in the US, I had never visited Bangladesh. So for me, this just felt like a completely new place. Now I had to adapt to not just the changing circumstances and my new environment, but I also had to adapt with the people and how things are done here. I didn't even know how to speak Bengali well, so I had to unlearn a lot of things, and I had to learn new things. My transition phase, it wasn't easy. It was not easy. It took me about 6 months for me to feel a tad comfortable with the changes around me. It was also difficult for me in the beginning to communicate my thoughts or to communicate whatever it is that I was thinking, just because my Bangla wasn't that great. I would naturally just be inclined to speak in English, and thankfully, a lot of people do know how to speak English, or at least they understand it, even if they may not be able to speak it as fluently. But after 6 months, once when I started feeling a little bit comfortable with the environment and with the change, I think more than comfortable, I would change that word. More than comfortable, I think I just started accepting my new reality a lot more. And I believe that once when you start accepting your new reality, you stop resisting change and you stop resisting the reality that you're in. You are able to take the steps that is necessary to move forward. So for me, acceptance of my new reality was very, very important. And again, just like on my essay, the mourning phase, it is different for different people, and you don't want to compare how fast you're moving through this phase compared to your peers or anyone else, whoever's going through this transition phase. So for me, 6 months wasn't that I completely transitioned and I completely changed in 6 months. It took me 6 months to accept my new changes and accept this new reality. I had to dive in deep. I had to introspect and I had to self-reflect on who I was back then and what were the things that I didn't want going forward. And once when I started figuring out what were the things that I didn't want, that was when I started imagining or having a vision of the life that I wanted to create. I know it's contrary to what a lot of other people say. They always say that, figure out what it is that you want. Who do you want to be? What is it that you want to do? I genuinely didn't have any idea what the hell it is that I wanted to do going forward, because I was put in an environment, in a place, in a position that I didn't want to be in. It's just that life just dealt me these cards and I'm just trying to navigate through the situation. So I knew that whatever it is that I had done in the past was not going to work this time. And so for me, I didn't know what I wanted to do. So rather, what I did was I just decided, or I started trying to unravel what it is that I did not want. Who is it that I did not want to be, and what is it that I did not want to do? When I had that, that's when it made it a lot easier for me to realize what it is that I wanted to do and who it is that I wanted to be. And that's when I started understanding or started looking into the things that I needed to do in order for me to become this new person or this new individual and create this new life that I wanted to experience. So I started making a list of the things that this new individual or this new identity or this new version of myself that I had in my head would do. And I started tackling those things one step at a time. Yeah. Was it easy? No, it was not easy. Were there times when I wanted to give up? Absolutely. Were there also times when I was looking at my peers and I was comparing where they were and everything else under the sun? Yes, absolutely. I was going through all of the motions and I was feeling everything, every bit of negative emotions that people ask you to kind of like avoid. I didn't avoid. I think that was also one of the other biggest lessons that I had learned during this transition phase, which I am still going through, is to not resist any of the negative emotions that you feel. I learned from my own personal experience, it is a lot easier for you to work around or work with these negative emotions when you don't resist them, when you just let them be. They will pass. Once when they are past your body, it's a lot easier. You get to see things a lot clearer. So that's how my transition phase has been. Every step of the way, I had faced setbacks, emotional I would face rejections. I would face my own personal setbacks, everything, but every step of the way presented an opportunity for me to reflect and understand, okay, what is it that I need to learn from here? What is it that I can improve? What is it that I don't want to carry moving forward? I don't want this to be a drag that's holding me back from any kind of progress. So that's how my transition period has been. The other thing is, again, referencing back to my essay, once when you understand who it is that you want to be in the future and you start to break down your future self and see, okay, these are the things that my future self would want to do. When you have those things broken down and you align your current self, like today, whoever you are in the present moment, you align your thoughts, your words, and your actions in accordance to your future self, there will come a point when you embody your future self so much that you are not able to distinguish between the present self and your future self. So, in essence, this may sound a little woo-woo, but in essence, what's happening is that you and your future self are now one. What happens in subsequent of these things is that you start living and creating the reality as you would like to experience. And eventually, and it happens very, very slowly, life starts responding in that way as well. It happens at a much, much slower rate than the rate at which you're changed. So I just want to preface that life or your external reality changes at a much, much slower rate than how fast you can change. So for me, my transition phase has been 3 years, and I'm still changing and I'm still evolving and I'm still trying to figure out more of myself. I'm trying to learn who I was and what it is that I don't want and what it is that I want and how it is that I want to evolve. I'm still going through this phase and I'm still in my transition phase. Sometimes I feel like it hasn't, my external reality hasn't changed a bit, but it has. It has, because I have changed, because I view my life and my external reality differently. I don't see it as what it was 3 years ago. I see it as a land of opportunity, as a playground where I can be and create, be who I want to be and create the life and reality that I want to experience. So yes, this transition phase is not easy. There will be a lot of ups and downs. And if you're going through your own transition phase, I just want to let you know that I empathize with you, and I highly suggest you that if whatever it is that you're going through and whoever it is that you want to become, and if you truly believe in that, then stick with this. Stick with the process. You stick with it. You show up consistently. If you're having a bad day, it's totally fine. Give yourself some grace. Give yourself a break. Take it easy for like a day or two, but come back. The point over here is to not sit and not do anything. No, you have to take action. You align your mind, body, and spirit in accordance to whoever it is that you want to be, and you act upon that. You take small actions. You be in alignment with that and just show up consistently. Slowly but surely, things will get better for you. And the more you do this, the more your brain, the RAS, the reticulate art, like whatever it is, I can't really remember what it is, but the RAS, it's part of the brain, which the more you think about something, the more that part of your brain activates, and you start seeing things in your life that gives you a signal that, hey, I am working with you. So the reality starts working with you, your mind starts working with you. So just stick with this process. Don't give up. That's all that I'm going to say. So the transition is never sexy. It's not easy, but if you stick with it, it will pay off. It's all worth it. And that's all I have to say. Thank you for listening to my rant. Thank you for joining me. Thank you for supporting me through this journey. I really appreciate you. Until next time, peace.